All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're unpacking one of the most tangled, complex, and frankly dangerous geopolitical issues in the world, the conflict over Kashmir. This is a story that has everything: disputed borders, deep-rooted rivalries, and stakes that are truly global. Okay, to really wrap your head around this, you have to start with this one single chilling fact. The beautiful, scenic Himalayan region of Kashmir is, right now, one of the most heavily militarized places on Earth. This isn't some distant political spat. It's an active, high-stakes, boots-on-the-ground confrontation happening every single day. And that really brings us to the core question of this whole explainer. How on earth did we get here? How did this breathtaking landscape, this place people call heaven on earth, become a potential trigger for a war between India, Pakistan, and China, all of them armed with nuclear weapons? Well, to answer that, we've got to go way back. The roots of this whole mess are planted firmly back in 1947. The moment was the chaotic, often violent partition of British India. This one event lit a fuse that's been burning for over 70 years. You know what's really wild is how incredibly fast all of this happened. So British India splits into Hindu-majority India and Muslim-majority Pakistan. But Kashmir, it was this princely state with a Hindu ruler but a mostly Muslim population. It was stuck. Then, facing invasion by forces from Pakistan, its ruler made a desperate call. He agreed to join India in exchange for military protection. Bam! That immediately kicks off the First India-Pakistan War. It ends, not with a resolution, but with a UN-brokered ceasefire line, the line of control, that was supposed to be temporary, but has become the heavily fortified, de facto border we know today. So that initial split set the stage for the situation we have right now, with the territory carved up between three nuclear powers. As you can see, India controls the biggest chunk at 55%, and that includes the very populous and contested Kashmir Valley. Pakistan holds about 30%, and China, well, they control the last 15%. And to really get why this is such a deadlock, we have to look at each country's point of view. First up, let's talk about India. They control most of the territory, so their perspective is absolutely central to this conflict. For India, this really boils down to two main things: legality and national security. They point to that 1947 accession document and say, hey, this is a legally binding contract, case closed. Kashmir is an inseparable part of our nation. And strategically, just look at a map. It's a critical buffer zone bordering two major rivals. That thinking is exactly what led to the huge, controversial decision in 2019 to scrap Article 370, which gave Kashmir special autonomy for decades, in a bold move to bind the region even tighter to India. All right, now let's flip the coin and look at this from the other side. For Pakistan, Kashmir has been the great unresolved issue right from day one. Pakistan's whole argument is built on a totally different foundation: self-determination and religious identity. They argue that a Muslim-majority region should have naturally become part of Pakistan during the partition. For decades, their number one demand has been a UN-supervised vote, a plebiscite, to let the Kashmiri people themselves decide their fate. And of course, the issue is also a powerful rallying cry in domestic politics and a key part of its larger goal to counterbalance India's power in the region. And right here, this is where you can see the fundamental deadlock. I mean, they're not even speaking the same language. India says the legal document is final. Pakistan says the people have to choose. India's main complaint is about cross-border terrorism, it says, comes from Pakistan. Pakistan's main complaint is about alleged human rights abuses by Indian forces. There's almost no common ground to even start a conversation. But wait, because this isn't just a two-player game. We've got a third nuclear power, China, with its own very calculated, very strategic interests here. And that just throws another huge layer of complexity into the mix. So, China got its piece of the pie during a war with India way back in 1962, when it took control of that Aksai Chin Plateau. But today, its interests are all about money and power. Specifically, its massive Belt and Road Initiative, a huge infrastructure project that runs right through the part of Kashmir that Pakistan controls. So by keeping this conflict alive, China keeps its rival, India, off balance, while protecting its own massive investments and its sensitive western borders. And now we get to the absolute heart of the matter. You take these three rivals, all with competing claims over the same piece of land, and you give all of them nuclear weapons. That is what transforms this from a regional dispute into a global nuclear flashpoint. And if you think this is just some abstract theoretical danger, you only have to look back to 2019. That single year showed the world just how terrifyingly close we can get to the brink. What happened in 2019 showed everyone just how fast things can spin out of control. It all started with a horrific suicide attack on Indian soldiers. The response from India was swift and unprecedented. It launched airstrikes deep inside undisputed Pakistani territory for the first time in nearly 50 years. For several tense days, the entire world just held its breath as these two nuclear powers were in a direct military dogfight. It was a terrifying reminder that any little spark could ignite a massive fire. So, given how incredibly high the stakes are, you have to ask, where does Kashmir possibly go from here? Let's break down the most likely scenarios for the future of this volatile region. This table really lays out the sobering reality. A real, peaceful resolution through diplomacy? Unfortunately, most experts see that as unlikely. The positions on all sides are just too hardened. The most probable outcome is more of what we already have, this simmering, low-level conflict that just continues on with occasional flare-ups. But here's the disturbing part. A major war, probably triggered by another attack just like the one in 2019, remains a very real possibility. And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? The stakes just couldn't be any higher. You've got three nuclear powers locked in a struggle that's lasted for decades. And as the world watches, we're all left to wonder if dialogue and diplomacy can ever break through 70 years of hostility, or if Kashmir is just destined to remain one of the most dangerous places on the planet.